The Africa we want.
Is my image okay?
Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers in the Pan African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.
Okay. Yes. Anything wrong? Yeah. All right. So, yes. I must first of all start by apologizing for the times. We said it was supposed to be 6 p.m., but we are starting half an hour late. It wasn't a mistake on the time, but it was just that, our technical is a football soccer star and they had games and he just came in late. So thank you so much, Iya Babo Tata, who is doing the technique with us tonight. And I want to thank all of you who have been waiting. As I can see, you're already loading in from all the corners of the earth where Africans are gathered, because this is something that is very interesting today. We have a lot of break-ins, but all good. Yeah. Apart from this one that we're going to be hearing from our activists and our correspondents and our brothers and sisters in the Finland, who are actually, going on a campaign strike against a series that just came out, a game that is called Afrikan Tahti. I don't know how they call it in Finnish, but I think our brother Eugene Ofuka, who is a prominent voice out there in the Finland, always calling on the attention of the government to correct some mistakes that they did in their past, and they're still repeating those mistakes now in this generation. So please make sure you are connected on this very explosive, exclusive edition tonight. And as we will be breaking a lot of information, and don't worry about my image, okay? Don't just worry about how my image is blurred out there. Don't worry, you don't need to see me. Just hear what I'm saying. That's very important, okay? And yes, it is not also an issue on our part. It is also some of those changing the narratives and even changing the faces and changing the image and bringing out the stories the way they want to do it. That is not important to us right now, dear Africans and Pan-Africans worldwide watching us from across the country and beyond. It is time that we don't focus on these distractions. It is time that we say it the way it is. What is it that is going wrong? People call it ignorance. Most of these political strategists call it ignorance, or they term it and they make it look at it as if it's a simple story. Taking into consideration, starting from Tarzan playing in the movies and always showing, the pictures of Africans as scavengers or primitive people. I mean, and you begin to ask, some people think, oh no, it is just the history of the Africans. So I listened to our brother in a conversation with one of his guests, I think, in Finland there, explaining the story of Africa. And sometimes, to be honest with you, I was laughing in the background and asking myself, do you think they all are ignorant? No, they know it so well. And that's why they can coin the stories. If not, they would have still portrayed another story. We have plentiful of beautiful stories from the continent of Africa, that is the second largest continent on the planet Earth after Asia. So why would you choose a particular narrative to use in your games? Why? We have beautiful mountains, beautiful people, beautiful children, smiling, dancing, laughing, beautiful nature, clothes, food, whatever. Everything that God has blessed the planet and the continent Africa, we have it. Why would you choose a story that you think it's something in the past to put as a game? And and in this game you would always be the one winning in the game, and the African child is the one always losing, and it's looking frightful and it's looking ugly. And even the paintings that they use, this is an abuse on humanity and must be condemned by every part and every aspect. It is an abuse, a strategic abuse. Okay? But it's also a shame to see that continents and countries which Africans are looking up to as the civilized modern world would depict such stories shamelessly and even promote it and even make money out of it, right? And even defend the reason that they block not to even listen to whatever explanations the African would give. But you know what? Bad news to all these creators, bad news to all the systems that are doing everything possible to hold the African underdeveloped. It's bad news. Why? Because that time is gone. Game over. It is over. Africa, all of us, white, black, purple, pink, short, tall, rich, poor, come from this golden, blessed continent called African or called Akelbulan. How much more should we say that? It is game over. It is not about the color of the skin. It is not even about the African in Europe. It's not even about our comrade Ufuka. It is about the voice of the time of the Africa, the creator, is saying over. It's over. Leave it. Let us live in peace and love and promote one another. You have built this continent and made money and money and money from ancestral generation upon generation. You're still looking for that money. Have you ever now sat and say, no, we have what it takes from Congo after exploiting it, and now we are confident and we are satisfied? No. The same problems, challenges that you are having in your nations, Africa has it. I mean, the ones on the continent. Every humanity, black or white, comes from this planet and from this continent called Africa. Don't we know that? How much more should history remind us that it's not about color? It's not about people. It is about the word of the creator. And it's game over for you. If you're still playing in those little corners and thinking that you want to manipulate and even give us a program children on what they should see, how they should think, how they should react, what is it that parents should run and buy, because they are so stupid to understand what love and peace and humanity is all about. They're so inhuman to not even respect. You do it and you laugh and you celebrate and you think you're doing it for somebody. It's a shame because you're doing it for yourself. What kind of generation are we producing? I want to welcome all of you that are signing in, and I want you to share this link because it is time that we begin. We have taught and taught and taught. The African has been teaching. We have been organizing. We have been showcasing. Okay, what do we get? I have never seen an image on the continent. I grew up in my village and I was raised, born there, went to school, came to Europe, been in Europe for 23 years. I have never, and I'm still going to see any negative picture about Europeans on the continent of Africa. It's not. It is not found neither in our literature, neither in our food, neither even in our spirituality. It is not found everywhere. The African is the creator and supports all sorts of humanity. So where did we learn all this from? Where does this all come from? I'm very happy that we have our guests here in the studio, and we're going to share this conversation for 2+ hours today. And I want you to get ready to call on the show and give me your impressions about this. It is not about Dr. Susan Tata, Pan-African Daily TV talking about this. It is about the disrespect of a particular race against some. I mean, we have a brother, we have organizations out there in the Finland, in Germany, in America, everywhere. Why do you choose the source of your stories? Africans are able, intelligent, smart, know their culture, know their stories, and they can help you if you are ignorant. Where do you choose your source? So you decided single-handedly to see Africa the way you want to see it. Period. You want to define a narrative that you think that is what is okay. If it is about knowledge, and I hear these are from professors, the so-called PhD professors who go on the net, pick stories that are written by from whatever perspective, and they don't even think the impact that it causes on humanity as a whole, on a whole race and generation of 1.4 billion people and in the diaspora. So what are you doing? Bring down that nonsense. Stop it. How much more would we teach from our ancestors, from generation to generation, from the times of slavery, from the times of globalization, from the times of colonization? How much more should we teach each other what love is, what peace is, what education, what civilization is all about? Politically correct? No. It is a crime against humanity and must be condemned in every nature. I want to thank you for signing in. And this is the time that we have to break some breakings out there. Like I said, we're opening this conversation on this note with this brother sitting right here. And they have been reaching out. It's been, a whole hell of the media in Finland has been talking about it. Communities are talking about, Finns themselves are thinking probably something is wrong. Is there a misunderstanding in the narratives? How do you perceive this? But our brother is going to tell us exactly what is going on and what we should be learning from it, right? If you're connected on Facebook or on YouTube, give me a shout out. Let me know if we are live with you. If not, then I'm so sorry. You have to watch a rebroadcast of this explosive and exclusive show. But if I take our brother, before I go on, I just wanted to warm you. The Satan gives you people the alternative and the possibility to connect so that we start the discussion proper, because we have a long, long way to go today. But there are some break-ins that I shared early this morning that should warm your heart and say, be not worried, child of the universe. The time for truth and justice and knowledge is now. And I shared this excellency, daughter, queen of the African origins in the Caribbean that has been elected as the president to be in the Barbados. And she is called Excellency Sandra Madden. Yeah. And she is known to be the first president-elect and also the first queen of the Caribbeans after, taking over from Queen Elizabeth II of England. Now we are going to have a queen that is sitting up there on his people. So the game is on for you. It is a whole lot of responsibility and challenges that we all have to respond to when we put our faces, particularly when they are not other colors. We have a lot to do to maintain the status quo and to put the narratives the way the world should understand it, from a world that is filled with love and peace and humanity and harmony with nature and our creator. So now I'm joining our guest in the studio. He must have been waiting for so long. Eugene, can you hear me? Comrade Ufuka.
Yes, I can hear you. 5 on 5, Dr. Susan. I can hear
you. Thank you very much. I mean, comrade, I see you sitting there like an honorable noble king and looking so handsome and well-dressed, well-positioned. I mean, what do you think is the problem why they shouldn't have used your image on those games to portray to portray the narratives that they're creating out there for their children? What is it? Are they not enough African beautiful kids there? Number two, why do you think it is a problem? Because do you think the kids that are playing those games are being manipulated to believe something when they also have black Finns out there? Would you think that even though they play these games, they look at an African child in their classrooms or in their neighborhoods and reflect what they see in those films? Number three, do you think it is enough of literature out there that it is a coincidence that they don't understand it, or that your organization and other organizations are not doing the work to educate their communities on African history and indigenous cultures? Number four, where does this theory come from that the African always has to play this part of the being chased, and their brothers in the other skin also have to be the ones that are always winning? Is it a marketing strategy? Is it a political strategy? Is it a way to actually bring down the African, say you will never win, we will always win? What is this all about? Number four, I'm taking the questions that have been thrown for you to reflect on why you are. Number five, I think number five is saying this is not the first thing that is going on. It has been happening from centuries to centuries. Even if they go to the Songhai Empire, and even to the first university on the planet in Timbuktu, there's a lot of history out there. Why would they go on narratives that are not elevating the African? And the last question is, what is the Finnish people, or what are the Finns saying about this kind of stories that are coming out there? So I'll just give you the platform, and now I'll listen while you educate us on the community out there. Over to you.
Yeah, all right. Dr. Susan, once again, really thank you very much for giving me this platform. I am very, very much honored to be here, because I know you have had, guests that are my hero. Like, for example, Dr. Simos, who always thought it's a huge thing to be on your platform and to talk with you. And also, I think that it is our responsibility as Africans of this generation, the Africa that we want, that we contribute also. It's our responsibility, collective duty, to build and to make sure that we play our own role to see the Africa that we want. So I'm very glad to be here with you. And those of us who are watching from anywhere you are, we are together and we are going to do this together. So to talk about the 6 questions you have, I think I would just like to give a little bit of background with the story here, what is happening in Finland. So sometime in September, around September 19, students in the University of Helsinki, in every year, there's always this opening ceremony of new students. So it takes place in September. So in September, there were new students who came, and they have this kind of party, usually like to welcome the students and to do stuff. So they have different activities. So one of the activities that they have was some games. And for some reason that I don't know, a group of those students were assigned, with this game, this Afrikan Tahti. So this Afrikan Tahti is Tahti in Finnish language is star. So the African star in English, that's the name, the African star. So this is a game that was made by a Finnish designer, a Finnish company in Finland. And it was first in the market in 1950, in the 51, 50. And in this game, the main idea is that you go around in Africa and maybe, let's say, collect steel, gold, or diamond in Africa. And you collect those golds from sub-Saharan Africa and take them to North Africa, where it is safe and you can keep that there. So these university students decide to use this game. And in the attempt to do that game, they dress like, like explorers. They would like to call themselves. Why we say they dress like colonizers? Because that's the idea. And then when one of the exchange students who was black saw that, and she called that, hey, how do you have this kind of a game in a university activity, university event? And that's where the whole thing started. And then the media came into the story. The university apologized, but then, people start to push back, and this student received a lot of death threats and, went on hiding, because she just pointed out that this game is glorifying colonialism, and the contents of the game is portraying Africa to be very, 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 very poor, you know, and that is the thing. So we start to talk about this thing, and it is very shocking to see the level of ignorance that people have. I just want to point out certain things here. So the main idea of that game is that they made this game in 1950, when Africa was still a colonial ground, you know. So the game doesn't show any city in Africa or any civilization. It just show empty land, and you just go around, collect golds and diamonds in that empty land. So the producers of that game, they said that, oh, we made that game in 1950 when Africa was like no man's land. There was no state, no government, no society. It was just a free land to go and take stuff. That's what it means. So we are saying that no, because people want to say like, okay, that game was made in 1950, and the image of Africa then in 1950, that is what the game portrayed. But the thing is, no, even in 1950, Africa was not like that. You know, so we need to educate people that let us go back even to 1500. We know of the great African civilizations, you know, the Mali Empire in Timbuktu, the first university, like you mentioned, you know, the ancient Kemet in Egypt. You go down to Sudan, the Benin Empire, like we can go on, you know. So we have a civilization in Africa before the colonizers, who are the Europeans, before they step foot in Africa. We have a civilized society, economy, striving economy going on with army and every stuff that we could keep and protect our communities for centuries, you know, before they came. And before the Europeans even came to Africa, they came because they had the stories of the wealth, the way of life, the culture, the beauty, the resources. That is what attracted their explorers to come to Africa. And they sit back in Europe and plotted how they are going to invade this land and grab something from the land. That is what happened. So you cannot portray Africa in any game in 1950 that Africa was like a no man's land, you know. And we must understand, you know, Dr. Susan, when I came to Europe, you know, I was a bit shocked because the image that Europeans have about Africa was like, wait, what is this? People were asking me if I was living in a hut and with lions and wild animals around. I was like, no. Actually, the first time I saw a lion in my life is in Europe. I never saw a lion in Africa, you know. So the Europeans have this strategy. It's not a mistake that when they came for colonialism, they have to plot and craft an image of Africa that is going to support the idea that they need to come in Africa to save Africans from themselves. That is very hilarious. And that is the white savior mentality that they created. So they created this image back then during colonial times. And that image is still portrayed today in most European countries. That is how Africa is still appearing to them. So when you come to this game now, I'm just trying to give a background of this game. So you have a game that was designed in 1950 that shows Africa as a no man's land, as a place that you can just go and steal diamonds and take them to North Africa. Now, this concept that you take the goals you steal the gold from Sub-Saharan Africa and take them to North Africa is problematic because it supports this idea that North Africa is more civilized than Sub-Saharan Africa. And then in the Sub-Saharan Africa, that's where they have like armed robbers who are trying to rob you from your gold. So you have to fight and kill them to take this gold and go to the north of Africa where it is safe, you know. So there is different levels. There's that when you look at this game, it's problematic at all levels. So now this game is a game that is being played by children in kindergartens. Every family most families have this game that they start to play with their kids. And for most Finnish people, their first encounter with Africa is that game, African Tahti. And in that game, if you have your first encounter about the continent, it's showing the continent as a jungle where there's only animals and caricatures. That is how you start to form your worldview about the continent of Africa. And that is why people who even come from Africa to Europe today, they are still being perceived as people who are coming from a village and they live with animals. Because if people are being taught from daycare, from primary school that Africa is a jungle, Africa is a forest, they are just animals and hostile people in Africa, you start to form their worldview at that very particular stage, you know. So these are the things that we are looking at with this game. And the fact that this kind of activity can be used in a university campus. University of Helsinki is one of the top 100 universities in the world as it is ranked, or 150. It is in the top 150, if you say the least. To see that in a university, they could even have such a game, they don't have enough people to understand that this is a problematic game to bring in a university event. It's actually also shocking. And to see that also people in Finland cannot understand that this game is problematic, because it's not about what the students acted. It's not about what they do, but the concept of the game itself, that you glorify a very bad and horrific time of our history as Africans. And when I say our history, I want to be very subjective in this way, because I think that one of the problems also is that we often talk about colonialism as the history of Africa. But I think colonialism should be taught as a history of the Europeans, the colonizers, because our ancestors do not go and colonize any person. They are the ones who came to Africa and colonized. So it should be taught that this is their history. Their people came to Africa and colonized African territory and commit crimes against humanity, like what Leopold did in Congo. 15 to 30 million people were killed by King Leopold. So they should be taught in their schools that this is what your ancestors did in Africa. You know, so the twist, this history is being taught like, oh, colonialism is African history. I don't think it is our history. It is not our history. It is their history. It should be their heritage to talk about, not us, because we are the victims of that. And again, another problem is that this game, for example, try to portray like, okay, they try to justify that, well, this game was made in 1950 and Africa was like that, when Africa was never like that. And if you want to talk about the history of Africa also, it shouldn't start with colonialism or slavery, because before these people step their foot in Africa, we have a striving society, civilization going on in Egypt, in Sudan, come down to Benin. Like, I can talk, Shaka Zulu was doing great things in the whole of Southern Africa. Like, we have a lot of this stuff, you know. So, and Africans should learn also that it's the same like with African Americans, that their history is being taught from the beginning of slavery, which is wrong. You know, their history should be taught way back from where their ancestors are coming from. That is Africa. And the same with us Africans. Our history should not be marked by slavery or colonialism. We must learn to say that our existence began before those times. And when you look back to that time, Africa was a striving society with civilized systems. First of all, we have everything before they came: the science, the technology, the art, the literature, all those stuff were there. So this is just the background of this thing. That's why we are saying that this game is problematic. And the producer of the game, one of their staff said that they're not going to apologize about this game, and they're going to keep the game on the market. And actually, the sale of the game has went up, because when this story came out, people went more to buy the game, because they're like, no, this game is okay. This is what we are going to stick onto. We cannot give up this image of Africa, you know. So we want people in Africa, our African families back home, to understand that this is how Africa is being portrayed in Europe, because they need to portray Africa as a poor continent forever, so that they can continue with their new colonialism in Africa. They can continue their project of extracting resources in Africa and keeping us down. They need to continue to portray Africa as a jungle, so that they can have their many million charities, that we always have this photo of the African child begging for money and poverty, so they can make a living out of all these things. So this is the background that we are talking about. But it is another level to see that a university of this level is going to allow this kind of game to be part of the activity in any way, you know. So without being said, and also the shocking response from the community, that people are being, you know, very, very, very angry that we are talking about this game, that the game is problematic, and they don't see why it is wrong. It displays also huge ignorance on their side. So when the next question, I think, which if you can remind me again, then I can also go on to move on, so I can have like a track on what I'm saying.
Anyway, I think, yes, you've touched all the angles, even you know, from the different questions that were raised, or the, you know, the response that was raised when we post this out. One thing that I want to assure us Africans is that we are the generation of the Professor James Small.
Yes.
We are the generation of Dr. Henry Clark. We are the generations of the Professor PLO Lumumbas. We are the generations of the Dr. Arikana Chikomborikwa. Yeah. We are the generations. We are the generation, the breed the breed noun of Excellency Sander Madsen. We are the generations. This generation is another kind of a breed. This generation is not a generation would feel victimized, feel terrorized, feel intimidated. No, this generation is another breed from the ones that we used to have. And what this generation is all about are not victims. So probably one thing that we will have to start learning is that, good, fine, we don't have any energy to educate you anymore.
Exactly.
Believe what you think is right for you.
Yeah.
But we know who we are. So exactly that is this generation's mission in the Africa we want, knowing who we are. The past 3 decades or 4 decades of the generations was trying to educate their partners, their brothers and sisters that are Europeans. All the generations rose up. Oh no, we did newspapers. We informed them. We told them, oh, our history was not this. Oh, our food was not like this. Oh, you need to know this. No, we don't have that time anymore. This generation is the generation that is coming together, heal themselves, and just enjoy what God has blessed them with. Learn to love one another, fix our relationships, fix our internal crisis, fix our political structures, fix our youth and give them a right to passation, fix our mothers, heal them and our children, learn to work together and live together and support one another. It is gone that we say it is ignorance. If it is ignorance, be it, keep your ignorance, enjoy it, buy it as much as you can, educate your children or your generations that Africa is a jungle. We don't give a damn anymore. It's over. We're not going to teach anyone anything. Do what you want to do. This generation is more about uniting, enjoying their continent, the riches, I mean, just enjoy among us.
Yeah, and just to add on to what you are saying, Dr. Susan, I think that this is a very clear strategy by the colonizers themselves, who never taught the history of colonialism and slavery to their own people. It's a deliberate strategy to keep that away. And even if that history is taught in a way that they are portrayed to be the heroes of the day, the ones who went to save Africans from themselves. That is hilarious, right? Because we didn't invite them in any way. We didn't send an invitation that please come and save us from what? From ourselves. We never did that. So, you know, and this is a problem that Western media, you know, before you do anything, the media is very important. How you portray people is very important in what people perceive to be reality, even if it's false. So the Western, the colonizers, I would say, they invested a lot of money and resources on their media to portray Africa as what it is, to justify their actions. And that continues to today. It never stops. So if I see any person, when I think about these university students who thought it is funny to go and act as colonizers, that is a very painful thing to do for Africans, because we feel the pain of colonialism today. It's not a joke. It is like somebody is going to like try to act what the Nazis did to the Jews in Germany. It will not be fun for the Jewish people to see that in any way, you know. So if anybody thinks that is a joke to act about colonialism or to make a game about colonialism, they are completely mistaken, because they are in that sense you are denying our humanity. You are portraying us as less humans, or we are not even humans at all. So we must understand this as Africans today, that it is not our duty to educate any person. We live in the era of information technology. One click on the internet, there's many information to read. We have now there's TikTok, there's Instagram, there's social media. People can see how Africa look like today. People can see how Ghana look like today, how Rwanda look like today, how Lagos look like today. But they choose not to decolonize the education system. They choose not to educate themselves. So it is not our place. But what we are not going to allow is we're not going to allow anybody try to form a stereotype image about us. We are going to hold any person accountable, especially if you are using the name of Africa, the image of Africa, for any profitable business. We are going to hold anybody accountable, but we are not going to be responsible to educate any person. But we call on all European institutions to educate their children educate them the truth about history, colonialism, slavery, because we are not going to waste energy to do that. They can find this information by themselves. There's plenty of information about the civilization that was in Africa before the Europeans came. So it is actually shocking that a Finnish company will make a game in 1950 and portray Africa as an empty land. Like then there was nothing in Africa, just empty land with animals and small villages with caricatures in Africa. There is no excuse for that, that there was no information. There was a lot of information in Africa about Africa in 1950. Let us not forget that in 1950, we have universities in Africa that people were going to medical schools, engineers were being trained in Africa, pilot, doctor, you name it. So you cannot talk about 1950 like it's 1920. It is very near. You know, so there is no excuse if anybody is saying that, oh, there was not enough information, we don't have enough information. No, there is a lot of information, literature, there's a lot of, I mean, documentaries, anything you want to look at about Africa, we have them everywhere. So it is very clear we are not going to educate any person. They have to educate themselves. They have to decolonize the educational system by themselves, and but we must call anybody out, and we are going to hold any person or institutions accountable. Because when you look at these things, this kind of worldview, these are the worldviews that promote and encourage people to be hateful. People have a stereotype image of Africans like you are a hostile person. The black man is seen, perceived in Europe to be a criminal because of all this kind of image that is being portrayed in their media, and these have they have consequences, and that create what? Racism, you know. And when we're talking about even this, the role that these Western NGOs play in this thing, in this kind of negative image, they do also, because they run campaign. There was, I think it was 2018 or something, there's a charity in Finland that ran a campaign about a pregnant 16-year-old girl in somewhere in I don't know if it's Kenya or Malawi, you know, and we campaign against that. No, don't show a pregnant girl. They put the girl's photo on billboards in Finland, you know, that, oh, look at this pregnant 16-year-old kid in Africa. But hey, you have your own children in Finland who are getting pregnant at 16. Why can't you talk about that? Why you have to go and look at those in Africa, you know? So these NGOs, they claim that they are like for human rights. They want to defend humanity, but the same problems that are happening in their backyard. For example, we're talking about human rights. Why are you not fighting about the equal rights of Africans or black people in your country? You leave our problems here. You don't care about them, but you want to go and pretend to our people in Africa that, oh, we care about you. But why you don't give a damn about Africans who live in your country? So that is clear hypocrisy, and they continue to send their so-called missionaries, explorers, or whatever you want to call them. If they go to Africa, oh, they call themselves as experts. But if we come here, they call us what? Immigrants, or they say you are a refugee. They, you know, this have to stop, because it is about time everybody realize that the new Africa today is an Africa that is not the same that was occupied and colonized. We are now a generation of, you know, Professor Smalls and Professor Flo Lumumba. We are the generation that this is never going to happen again. So this is the time for every African, for us to get into this battle of making and rebuilding. We have to rebrand Africa again. We have to rebuild the stolen glory of Mother Africa, so everyone will understand. And that means that we must not, you know, allow these kind of things. We have to call them out and try to hold people accountable.
Thank you very much. I think it's very, very pertinent what you're saying. The only thing is the view. The view is, who are we addressing? We should address these stories to ourselves, not to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key point that I really congratulate you. And what you're saying is very relevant. But let this message be for us, because our generation and this generation of these powerful kings and queens are teaching us to just be who we are. These generations, as we are talking, when we see these kind of images, we pick them up and run with them and say, see how ignorant this is all about. But we know who we are. We know our history. And so it's time. We are gone past that. We are past that stage where we do things to teach people, to entertain people. No. Yeah. The 21st decade of the renaissance of the Africa, redefining who she is, what she is made of, and how other Africans should see her. That is the new Africa. The new Africa is not the Africa, oh, you're doing this to us. No, the new Africa is what are we doing to ourselves? Right. So I think all these images and situations are making us more to be aware of the fact how much powerful we are. I mean, they don't pick any other story and make it a no-name story.
Yeah.
Why Africa? Why Africa must be that one that is a poor child? It's not a coincidence, people. Let us wake up. Let us change the paradigm of thinking. Let us change where the rhythm of dance had been going. I've been playing the djembes and the songs and the dancing. Who are the ones that have been entertaining? Who are the ones that have been drumming too? I've been in a culture mix and teaching and preaching. Who's preaching? Am I preaching? Is it my story? Does it reflect me? Does it look like me? I think these are very pertinent questions when I say this generation of your generation, the youths, generations of the PLOs and the Professor James and the Mama Arikana and Mama Edith Oladale and Mama Sandra Madison and Prime Minister Mudley, all these generations are coming and showing these faces to tell you this is you. You said something about the NGOs. I like to talk about that because we are opening up the registration for the NGOs and all initiatives, Pan-African initiatives in a globe to register. Because yes, most of us NGOs, particularly those on the continent, and you made a very pertinent point, the African migrants living here with all sorts of issues going on. No, you don't hear that they are living in a paradise or anything. But so why would I want to help a continent? I don't start from those that are with me. I go into the continent because they want to explore your ignorance.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they still come with the smiles, fake smiles, and in the name of missionaries or explorers or tourists. Right. Whether it comes in a black face. So
exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that is true. And I think that also, first and foremost, when people refer to Africa as, they think that like as if Africa is one country, you know, when Africa is huge. Like you said, it's the second largest continent, you know, but you see like tiny Europe, tiny Finland, for example, tiny Finland is making a game and they use Africa like one country in that game. Come on now. And in that game, they are portraying Africa as a no man's land, like a jungle. Like even if we go back 1500, when we had thriving civilization in Africa, Finland was a forest, you know. But how did these people manage to turn this story around and they portray us as we are the beggars from the beginning, when they were the ones who came to steal from Africa and loot because they were starving, they were feeding on their own people. They came there to survive. And now they try to portray us as the hungry one, as the beggar. You know, we must change this narrative. And this is something that we know so well. And we must do this to ourselves. Like we must talk within every single African, because knowledge is the key here. If people are educated, people are informed, this thing is not going to bother anyone. And we must change, because these NGOs, for example, I think is a very, very good initiative, because those of us in the diaspora, we need to be connected. We need to be together so we can follow up the different things that are happening within the different countries that we belong to. And if there is something that we can talk about and raise campaign, we need to mobilize in a way that we can have a systematic approach to dismantle this structural racism or structural discrimination towards Africa, because this thing is organized. You cannot defeat organized crime in an unorganized way. You have to be very organized as well. So when we organize ourselves, we are going to understand their strategy. We find ways to combat them, because this is war. This war we have been fighting from the day we were born without weapons. We just, from the day you were born, you step in a ring, you were receiving punches. Now it is time for us, we have to put our gloves on and get into the ring aware of what is in front of us. And this is the thing we need to do as Africans collectively. Because for too long, we have been in a war, we have been in the ring without throwing punches. We have been punched for hundreds of years now. But this is the time that Africa is putting on her own gloves to fight back. And we have to be organized because, like Kwame Nkrumah said, like all our founders of Africa, the Africa we have today, they said these people are not going to go. They will never leave, you know. So we must strategize. And I think that the diaspora have a very important role to play to rebuild and rebrand Africa, because we can take the message to them in the diaspora. And also we are the link to our community back home to let them know how the people in Europe, how the Europeans, the colonizers, they perceive Africa, think about Africa today. So they shouldn't be able to go to Africa and receive people with their semise and their charities, because those charities are only coming there to benefit those who are bringing the charities, not the African people, you know. So when we organize within this, as we talk about the NGOs, we can really work together to take, diplomatic actions, because we have African embassies in European countries. What are they doing? Are they defending Africans? I remember something that this African-American freedom fighter said, Malcolm X, that until Africa and Africans will come together and protect African citizens, Black people around the world, then we are never going to get the respect and things that we deserve as African people. If we find a way to make sure that our countries, our governments in Africa, our embassies can speak on behalf of our people. And if there is something going on, like in Finland, for example, we can organize demonstration in Finnish embassies in all African countries. You are going to get political strength and political muscles to push back to some of these things, because even this company that's making this, producing this game, one of the ways to get them shut down is to target their government. And how do you do that? You have to organize like campaigns and even demonstration at the Finnish embassies in Africa. We need to be well organized to fight these things, because if we are disorganized, I think that we are just going to get this battle a longer lifespan. We have to be organized to get it short. So this thing should be stopped as soon as possible, because I believe in our lifetime, we are going to see a different Africa, and a very free Africa that is going to be able to govern, control, and manage everything that is Africa. Not only in Africa, but around the globe, you know. So the fact that they will make a game and portray Africa as one country is already problematic, because we are a continent that is almost 4 billion people.
Thank you so much, Comrade Eugene. It's very factual what you're saying. And we need to organize ourselves. The only thing that we are saying, I'm in the middle class. Professor James Small, they are the elders. Professor Pierre Olumumba, Mama Arikana, all of them have their legacies already. And so if they're giving back the right to possession, King Maponga Joshua, King Bongane III, these are all people that have done it, and they're still doing it right now. But how much time do they have to continue to do it?
Exactly.
It is upon your generation to take this opportunity and the chance. We can relax. We're going, as you see, but you're coming to face what you're calling now a war. And so when you say organize, when we talk about the youths, and the youth don't pay attention, or they're busy posting other things and doing some other things, that's also okay. But it is your time. It is your generation. Everyone can sit quiet. The politicians can do what they want to do. So it is the responsibility of a youth that is awakened to take the right steps in the right direction. The elders, they don't have any much more time, resources, energy, and even that time to sit here that we're educating ourselves. Sometimes it won't happen anymore. And that is why it is the right time now, when the African is waking up, the youth, your generation, girls, stand up, know who you are, organize yourself, learn anything that you can learn from who are yours. Okay, so I think it's a very good conversation. We can go on and go on and go on. Like I said, changing the narrative sometimes also has to do with us African people. We're too generous. And I see even the way we're wailing, even the way we are annoyed that some people are doing us something, it's just still because we are a loving people.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe we should also start learning arrogance. And arrogance in a sense that I don't care. I care, I know who I am. All right, I do my own thing. And I really wonder what the Chinese sit and do when they talk about them like that. If the Chinese were distracted, they won't build their empire to becoming what they are today, that the world is even afraid of them. They just pull back after all their challenges, after all their defeats and war, and they learned what they could pick from the outside world, and they brought and developed from what they had. It is also time that we stop this outward African look. It is going to be there, and that is what has kept us all this time. Pull back into us, connect into us, and start doing what we are supposed to do. At the meantime, we keep chasing. Now, let's turn the game. Run back to Africa, run back to our own things, to our spirituality, to our food, to our culture, to our architect, to our agriculture, to our everything. Let's just run back and focus on that. And you are going to see who is going to be running, chasing who. You made a very good, important point that Africa is a country. To be honest with you, my dear, these are still narratives that we have to own up to. We never were countries. We want people.
Yeah.
But you see, we're still defending the same trick. We keep defending the same. I used to be like that also before I was awoke and before my ancestors maybe slapped my head and they got off creator and said, what are you doing to yourself? We're talking about a one Africa. That is who we are. We are one. Let them call us one country. Why must we say, oh, no, it happened? This picture they're showing about people in Congo, no, I don't belong. That is another strategy that they use to divide us. No. And then they come and they tell, oh, you're one country, and we fight back in the ring. Like you say, no, 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 I'm not one country. You know, we're many countries. No,
exactly.
We are one.
Exactly.
Let us turn up.
Exactly.
Let us turn up. That's the One Africa agenda. But sometimes we have the spirit to build it, but we communicate different. We still use the language to communicate it. I spent 18, 20 years organizing cultural festivals, educating the Germans. No, Africa is not a country. There are many countries, 54 countries on a continent that is this. Nonsense. We are a country. We have to start owning that. No, Africa is not many countries. Africa is a one people, one everything, one ancestors.
That is very true. That is very true. That is very true. And I think that the problem is that why I make that reference is that when you see a small, tiny European country like Finland with 5 million people, you know, when a city in Lagos, just Lagos is like 50 times more than Finland. So
Southern Cameroon.
Exactly. Exactly.
The whole country in Europe.
Yeah. So when you see a small, tiny country is referring to Africa even as one, but they should refer to us as a big continent, not like a small. You know what I mean? That's why I make that reference. Like even if we are saying that we are one people, but we are one large people, 1.4, 1.2 billion people. You know, that should make the difference, because when you try to refer to Africa like it is as Finland, also like a country like Finland, that's where I see the problem, you know, because we are a large continent.
Of course, I do understand.
Yeah.
I do understand your perspective.
Yeah. So, and I think that also that to stick to that colonial landmark, that boundaries like those countries, I think is also one of the things that they use to divide us. And with some of these things, you know, even when you look at this story in Finland, when it came out, you know, some so-called African leaders and politicians, again, they came out, they said, yeah, this game is okay. They don't see anything wrong with this game. Some who were born here, they say, yeah, I have played this game with my family. This game is very dear to me. This game came out when my father's country, Mali, got independent 9 years after that. I'm like, no, you have been brainwashed also. You have been, you know, what kind of the education you receive about Africa is completely false. And why do you have to speak about something I don't know so much? If you want to talk about your father's country, Mali, are you going to start from the independence date from 1960? Are you aware of Timbuktu? Are you aware of Massa Musa? Are you aware of the empire Mali had before the Europeans were even coming out from their caves? You know, so it is shocking to see even the ignorance that some of our people have even back home in Africa and those in the diaspora. So when we're talking about coming, organizing ourselves, is to try to find a common ground with everyone, because some of our people don't even agree on issues that are important to us. Like in this simple game, there are some of them who think that the game is okay, you know, and they don't understand that the game is very problematic at every level. So getting Africans together, like I saw today, I think on social media, what someone like Marcus Garvey did to mobilize 15 million Africans without the internet. That is the kind of mobilization we need to do. And this goes in line with the same policy of Malcolm X. Africans need to mobilize and organize themselves. We need to come together as one. That is our only hope to win this battle, to win this war. Our only hope is that we become one people, one nation, one economy, one currency, and one society. Then we are big in number. If we try to stay with the 1884 Berlin Conference demarcations, we are going to fight, we are going to be in that ring and fight this war for a very long time. So the One Africa initiative is the only solution for Africans. But again, if everybody want to mention, if anybody want to mention Africa or talking about Africa as one nation, it should be mentioned with the respect that we have, that we are 1.2 to 2.4 billion people. So that should be emphasized every time we are raising this conversation. So when I see that a small tiny country like Finland with 5 million people is talking about Africa that way, is my dear sister, is offensive. It's like it makes you sick, you know.
Don't worry. They say, child, be not worried. Just allow the ignorant to be. You're doing a very tremendous job. Your organization, and not even just this, you've been the voice out there, and we actually applaud your wisdom and your work. What we are working on together now is to get that focus off. Now, I'll give you an example. Do you think it is possible to do the same game and change the characters and the history for every African child on the continent? That should be a project that we could look at examples like this and we work on. What do you think about that?
Very possible. I think so. That is very possible, because changing the narrative is something that everybody can rebrand themselves every time, you know. So like even when I spoke to the Finnish media about the situation, some people were like, oh, let us cancel this game. I said, no. Keep this game, but we can redesign this game, because this game is a platform that people can actually learn something good and important about Africa. We can rebrand the narrative. We can change the narrative, and we shouldn't like lose hope or cancel stuff, you know, in that sense, because I believe in dialogue. I believe in democracy. I believe in the force of argument, not the argument of force. I believe in debate, civil discussions, you know. So if you have this game, or what kind of game you have, okay, we look at the problems in this game. Let us now make a different game. The same game can update the game. When you are doing this game now, you reflect what Africa is in that game. So those your children who are playing the game from kindergarten can say, oh, there's a big city in Lagos. Oh, there's Kinshasa. Oh, there is Accra in Ghana. You know, let us do it this way so people can have this. When they have this first encounter with Africa, they say that, okay, we have middle class society in Africa also. There are trains stationed in Africa. There are planes flying in Africa. People are living, going to school, doing the same things like me in Finland, in Africa. So we can always use any platform in a positive way if we want to do that. And changing the narrative is very easy to do.
Thank you. I think those are that's the reason why we are doing this data collection, or asking all the NGOs to register. Not only NGOs, every African initiative, every initiative from Africans.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're launching this platform on the 1st. And so registrations will be open on the 2nd of November already. It's already ready. We're just putting the keys and trying to get the secretariat in Ghana open by that 2nd, where people can get information. They can call in, and where the mobilization is starting. And all the representatives of the 4 regions of Africa are already ready. And so we are ready to go. It is action station. It is action time. And when we are talking about that, and I heard some people wrote back when we shared that they were so happy, youths and organizations on the continent say, oh my God, we cannot wait for this platform, you know, to just register, because that's a point where we start language. We have a lot of our sisters and brothers that are working, offering projects on language. We know Respondis, who is doing the language course on Swahili and other African languages. All of you have to register on that platform. All of us have to start learning all these things. At one point, we're going to stop this talking in this kind of a way and just go back to start learning, right? And I think we are already there. If we are talking about unity, I would still maybe disagree, probably because I'm sitting here and I know how united we are. I shared even only YouTube creators thanking us and praising us of having reached 7.2 million people. That's too much. And we're talking about we call that a quarter, a quartier, like they can say. Some of these locations are replay. I'm talking only about YouTube, and we've not even been here for a while. I don't want to talk about Facebook and other platforms that are watching and following us. So we are united. It is also a trick for us to keep saying we are not. It is also a trick to say, no, we are multiple countries. It is a trick to say, oh, we don't work together. It is a trick to say we don't love each other. Changing of the narratives doesn't mean we go after those that are creating those false narratives. It means we start creating our own story. You know, So talent, art, creators, comicers, painters, all these designers, caricatures. We have the best young people on the continent that can design anything. So a game like this, brother, I thank you for bringing it up. We know other platforms where our children are also watching. Naisha was telling me about a huge platform that is created also. It's a game. It's a gaming by a Korean. It's called Squid Games. I think most of you have been watching this series on Netflix. And we've seen a lot of reviews. Just go on YouTube and put reviews on Squid Games, and you would see the comments, how people are actually complaining about the violence, But this is one of the highest watch series that Naisha was saying 70% under the age of, I think, 18 watch it on a daily basis. So you can imagine the energy that we keep tapping into ourselves, and we enjoy it, right? But it all starts with the education, our spirituality, how we connect. What is it that we should? What is it that we should not? And even if we watch it, what role does it play on us? Because at some point in time, when we look, we're not going to gather everybody and start saying, oh, don't watch it, but probably watch it. But how do you understand it? Right?
Yeah.
Because they know watch it, like you said, no, stop it. No, keep your game. But how do you want to understand it? What are the perspectives? I see it this way, you see it this way, and we can exchange and talk in terms of cross-cultural understanding, isn't it?
Definitely.
Brother, I need you to tell the audience your work in Finland, your organization, and all the massive things that you've been doing out there.
Well, I think this is hard part to say because I don't like talking about myself anyway, but I will try to do that. So
sorry, one question first. Why don't you like talking about yourself?
I just like to be humble. I don't like to blow my own trumpet in a way. That's what I mean. So
okay. Wait. Hold on. Yeah, we were in a conversation. I just want us to get this clear. Humility doesn't mean you don't own up to what you do that is good. That is also another false narrative in terms of humility. Arrogance is another way when you use, how humble are people that murder? How humble are they? They don't even talk, right? How humble are people that marginalize people, enslaved people, colonized people? How humble are they? So we are doing a right work for humanity, and we should be proud about it. Go ahead and tell us all your marvelous things that you're saying. Own it up. Because sometimes, oh no, I don't want to show off. Africans, show off for the good things that you do. Show it up. Be proud of it. Own it. And actually make some noise about it. When I posted about Excellency Sandra and questions were, oh, are we sure she's going to be the right one? Oh, these are white puppets that are coming in black faces and this. I don't care. She's African. She's a woman. And I'm proud about it. If I would help, if I see something that she's doing, and we will call her to attention. That is the spirit. But start already thinking, oh, what kind of a space she is? Is it another one? Is still another trick on us? So own up to your thing. You're doing a great job. Go ahead and tell us.
Yeah, so I would say personally that I'm a Pan-African political and human rights activist. And I'm a community organizer in Finland, try to organize the African community or people of African descent in Finland. And also I am the chairperson and one of the founders of the African Anti-Racism Society in Finland. So we are fighting racism, hate, and structural institutional racism towards Africans and people of African descent in Finland. So we do series of things, events, demonstration, petitions, and also we plan in the future to do trainings and educational seminars that we can invite guests and people to educate our community, our people. This is like I said, like we are educating ourselves so we can break this chain of misinformation, you know, and misunderstanding of who we are. So because we have in our community, there are many kids who are born here. They don't have so much contact with Africa. They don't have so much history like we have, that we were raised in Africa. So we try to give them that. And also one of the things that we plan to do as well is to organize like cultural festivals, like you said, like you are doing in Germany. And that we display our different cultures, like people from Sudan can perform a traditional dance, people from Zimbabwe, people can do something, people from Namibia, you know, we show this culture in a delightful way in Africa, as Africans in Finland. So those are the things that we are doing. And also I am the, I would say, coordinator of the Professor Paul Lumumba's chapter, foundation chapter in Finland. Wonderful. And we are working also to push and to build the momentum in Africa to get Africans, you know, more involved with the issues that are about Africa in the diaspora.
Wonderful. Excellent. Perfect. Okay. That is who you are. And don't say, I don't like to talk about myself. Talk about yourself anyway and own it. Because we don't talk about ourselves. Normally, there are people that do shameless things who don't talk. But they're the ones that make the biggest noise through their actions. And we are not doing our own because we keep thinking, oh, being humility means we should not brag. Brag about your hustle. If it is not hurting anybody, it is just you. Brag about it. Why? We've been taught to shy away and not to own up about the great inventors and inventions that we're doing. That's why we are the most people that create, but we don't even have a copyright for all our work. Yeah. And they're stolen and they are being propagated. We're the ones that are the actors. You know, an African would act like this young Senegalese that is breaking news on TikTok, the most celebrated, just a young one, and just start doing things. And then some other person will pick and promote. And now, you know, all over the country. So brag about it. That's also something that we want to teach our people and our young talent. Be proud of your hustle. Don't shame of that.
Yeah. Just to add up, like we talk about changing the narrative, that we should be doing our own things, not going after those who are creating a negative image about Africa. For example, in the area of music and art, we have managed to do that. For example, the Afro music, now Afrobeat is now international. It's now top in everywhere you go. But we did not come to the Afro artists. They didn't make this music to sell to the Europeans or to the Western people. They made it for Africans. And then the Europeans are now, and the Western people are now involved, and they are, you know, enjoying those Afro music. And they're like, oh, Afro music is now mainstream. We're like, no, it was mainstream already long time ago. It's just now that you are catching up, you know. So I think that should be an example to Africans that our music now is now mainstream. You know, our music is now mainstream. But let's not forget that not too long ago, MTV did not play any black artists on their channel. Michael Jackson was the first black person that his song was played on MTV in America. But now music, African music, is mainstream internationally. So we can change the narrative. If we can change the narrative in music, in art, I believe we can change also in every other area an aspect about Africa. And we just need to focus on doing what is right, the good things for ourselves, and the rest of the world is going to catch up, because that is what African artists, musicians like Yuson Dio and Emmanuel Dibango and all them, Fela Kuti and all those guys, they play their music for Africa for a long time. And the rest of the world is just catching up now to that good music. So we should focus on building Africa, not wasting energy to fight this opposing force. Like, do the good things in Africa, and the rest of the world is going to catch up. And I think that that changing of the narrative is very possible, as we can see already in African art and music and entertainment this day that is mainstream.
Wonderful, wonderful, my brother. You're doing incredible, beautiful stuff here. But let me just take us back again to that, because what you're saying, I feel the vibes right now as we're talking. Diamond Platinum is changing, is waxing the vibes out there in Louisville, Kentucky, USA. Tickets sold out. Now,
Exactly.
guess what? But what I want to say is this. This is another problem. I'm so sorry. When I say problem, is that this is a challenge. Now, you know it when I say it, you're from the continent like me. If you go down to the continent, nobody gives a damn. When we go and hang out and party in the clubs, because it's always party on the continent. It's a continent of festivals. That's why they call us festive people. I know why we're getting these issues out here, because you know we're taken out of that place and now you're in a different place and you see something differently, right? So do you think, I'm asking you that question, when you go to Boya, to Limbe, you know, or to Douala or Yaoundé, when you go during this periods that people are going, when you sit in the bars and you're dancing or you're in the marketplace, do you hear any African or any person on the street saying, oh, our music is not being played in Europe, in Finland? do you hear that?
No, I don't.
Thank
I
you.
don't.
I want to support that idea that you say we do our things for us. An
Inside
African.
ourselves, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Because
Yes.
I was even surprised when I was in New York as well. The radio is playing mainstream African music, Davido and other like Diamond and those are like, I'm like, for real. But if you ask those artists, they are not making those music for this audience. That's the truth, actually. Because these guys sing in deep pidgin language, they sing in deep Yoruba language, they sing in deep Igbo language. Their audience is not the Western people, but they're just catching up. So it is a classic example for Africans that we can see this and apply that in every area also in Africa. We do it from ourselves inside. The change is coming from inside out. Then the world is going to see that if we want to display a public image, then we are going to be running also a propaganda campaign, you know, which is we are doing the same thing.
When we do that campaign, exactly the propaganda the propaganda campaign. This is not Swahili. I've told you there's never gonna be a day I would apologize for wrong English here. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
So this propaganda campaign is exactly what you're saying. It's like we are making the market for them. Always saying, oh no, we were mainstream. No, we are not mainstream because we're not doing it for you.
Exactly.
It is for us. It
Yeah.
is for us that we were doing it. And so I like that spirit and I like that. So what are the events that you think you want to invite us in Finland? I mean, I like to see that. I mean, Finland is a beautiful place, to be honest with you. I've never been there, but I've watched the sceneries out there, just like Europe. Europe is really nice the way they do their stuff. Hey, nothing against that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when we talk about people, lifestyle, music, arts, culture, dance, food, clothes, everything, I'm so sorry. Maybe they have to blame God for doing that, particularly to the African. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so we are not accountable. Blame God for it, that we are the way we are, that we are loving, we are united, we are beautiful, we are strong, we are powerful, and that every other thing was given to us, even the resources that, you know, people are chasing us in. So I think the African never was brought by creation to sell, to market, to commercialize And that's why people look at us and think we're uncivilized. So we don't know how to do business. We
Very
don't know
good
how to do
point.
propaganda.
Very good point.
We don't know how to do media. We don't know how to marketing. And you see all this crazy technology say, oh, no, we want to teach you digital marketing. What, are you kidding me? Ask our grandmothers. They would teach you digital marketing. And they went village through communication, through their dance, through their everything. There is nothing that anybody can teach you African. Me. Ask me a village girl. I'll teach you more. Over to you.
That's a very good point you are making, that Africa was never meant to be commercialized, because in logic, anything that is good doesn't have to sell themselves. They're just good for just being themselves. So that's a fact that you're saying. Like that point just came out to me, like that's wisdom you just said. Like we were never meant to be advertising ourselves, like, because you see those who are selling fake product, we make all kinds of commercials about those fake products and put them out there for people to see so they can come to buy them. But Africa, we just stay silent. But the light from Africa is radiant that people can see from millions of miles away. That's why they got into their shanky boats and find their way to the Atlantic, to the motherland, to get some milk, for their children. So we don't have to really try to sell Africa as they are trying to sell their things, their places here in the Western society. So you asked about Finland. I think that Finland is a very nice country, very beautiful people here. Anywhere you go in the world, there are good people and always those who are doing their own stuff. So, but when you look at the struggles of Africa, it is sometimes very common to see that the Scandinavian countries, I mean, Finland, Sweden, Norway, they claim to, like, say we were not part of, colonialism or slavery. It was not, they tried to like, we were not there. But in general speaking, the whole of Europe is developed because of colonialism and slavery. The wealth that was looted for many, many years, decades in Africa, built Europe. So every European country benefited from slavery and colonialism, not indirectly, is directly. So the common trend is that people from Finland, like, this is about this game, they're like, oh, we were never part of colonialism, so why should we play this game about colonialism? No, you were part of colonialism. You benefited from colonialism and slavery. So there's no one single country in Europe, in the Western nation, that can put their hand up and say we did not contribute or benefit from slavery and colonialism. There's no one single of them. So Finland, as a result, it is that, but they have this kind of mindset that they are not part of that. And that's the thing we are trying to educate you, that every one of you in Europe benefited, and you were part of the transatlantic slave trade. You were part of colonialism. It is directly. You cannot say, no, we have nothing to do with that. So we are really trying to look at, like, one of the things that I really want to display here is to, like you said, show our own narrative, like this African cultural festival. I don't mean a place where you come and have music and dance and food. No, I mean clear culture. We need to find, I mean, like if I talk about Sudanese culture, I will need to see something displayed here, like a proper Sudanese, culture display, or down to Mali, or up there in Egypt, different cultures that we can display, like the dressing, the clothing, the art. You know what I mean? Traditional dance, like you have this kind of a festival that where you have, like, each culture have their own stand. We don't say countries, we say culture. Like Sudanese people are here, Nigerians are here, and when you go to Nigeria, you have the Benin, for example. They have the people from Lagos, the Yoruba people. I mean, different things. So we can show these things, we display these things. So we can. My point is not to educate the Finns, it's to educate the Africans who are born here, our children who are born in this place, so they can see where they are coming from. They can see the cultures of their ancestors, of their root. By so doing, they are being empowered and educated. And this goes a long way to change the narrative as well, because people form their worldview or their opinion based on what they know, based on information. So if we can show this information, this Africa, this image of Africa to everyone else here, then people's opinion and view of African perception also will start to change. So one of the things is that African Cultural Festival that I really want to organize here and do it in a way that is about art and culture, properly displayed. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I mean, we can help you on that. We are all, we can help anyhow that you want. Like I said, make sure you register your organization on the second, on the Africa We Want. These are all stuff that we're going to be working on because we have an event coming up, a major event for all those, the organizations that will be registered in Ethiopia 2022, and it's going to call PAC. PAC is
Yes.
Pan-African Challenge. Yeah. And it is a talent expo. We are officially just launching it, but it's going to be circulating or on the entire continent and the diaspora.
You can
And
count on me that I'll be there.
yeah, if you're a member of the organization, of course, we're taking all the units from all, because it is not somebody organizing, it is all the members organizing.
Organizing, yeah.
So nobody's going to organize something for anybody again, African. No. We're going to collectively, it's a collective way of, like we say, we're building. And that's why the Africa We Want organization is just that platform where all organizations and initiatives should focus. And we want to focus on cultural education. When we say cultural education, it embodies everything, our way of life.
Exactly.
Everything. And
that
so
is like,
we call program A to Z. A for agriculture, to Z for zebra, or A for Angola, to Z for Zambia or Zimbabwe. So it is everything, refurbishing, cleansing every part from A to Z, right? And so we're beginning to see all this curriculum coming up, and every other systems or initiatives that are coming up. These are all things, like I said, instead of us sitting and thinking, will they do right? We will do right. Okay. So anyhow that you need that support out there, you can count on us. We have the know-how. I mean, putting the structures and everything like that. That's what we've been doing for the past all my life here, trying to, not for any other person, but for us. So it is almost like in the gene. And then another thing, we
yeah. Can you hear me actually?
Because when we start saying image of Africa, what is image of Africa? Because it's exactly the same way we say, you see different, they see different, others see different. We're talking about the spirit of the African. It's not the image of the African, it is the spirit, because we're not physical only, we are more stronger when we're spiritual. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you, because you were breaking. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm okay.
Fine. Good. So apart from these campaigns and stuff like that, so but you said most of the Finnish community were like, okay, we were not a part. It's the same thing. Berlin is also saying, oh, we're not a part. And if they tell you issues like, all right, in the 50s, then you ask them, what were they doing in Namibia in 1883? So it's a part of either ignorance. But like I said, don't waste your time to educate anybody. Educate yourself more, who we are, about your history, and every other misery will be erased, like Professor James Small said. Yeah. All right. I think if Ia is here, joining me here, I think we would like to share some of the images so that people actually get what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
is it okay?
That's true.
And then we'll be opening up the lines. I see people already saying, when are we opening up the lines? And I think there's a misunderstanding out there, if it's a telephone number or it's a bank number. We're going to clarify all these things in just a minute. Let's take a look at these images that our brother is talking about. So yeah, put them on the screen. Let's see. All right. Can you see? Can you see that?
No, I don't see it yet.
I think it's coming, because there's a delay. You're in Finland. You can imagine that we're in South Africa. Okay. Yes. All right.
Yeah, I know you're in South Africa, yeah.
So can you just describe what the image that people are seeing there?
So there is one image of university students, and their face are covered so that nobody is going to come after us that we expose their face in a social media platform.
Anyway,
And that image,
we didn't upload that one. We just load the first image that you're seeing is the one, I think is the image of the game.
of the game. Yeah, that is the board game itself. That's the board game. And on that board game, there's the African map and different routes that you play and go around, like Monopoly. And
okay, put the game. Yeah, change this image, put the game, the one with the game. Hold on. This is how the cover of the cell of the game look like. Africa Tartan means African.
yeah, African Tahti, African Star. Yeah, that's the cover of the game, the box that is coming on.
It's called African Stars.
African Star in English, yeah.
Okay, so is it up? Why is it?
Yeah, so the board game itself, if you can see that there's the African map.
Exactly.
And then there are different routes that you can go on those routes to steal the gold or the diamond that you want to get. And then if you can see that there's also this image of an African is there. Very caricature looking image, you know, with a spear. And if you see that there's just animals and some hot or empty space, you know, nothing else.
Okay, put the other one. Put the other one that is like this one. Yes, I see it. They even show Congo. It should be in Congo and exactly where the minerals were.
Yeah, that's they are going to Congo.
They show the river.
And I don't know who thinks that is fun. It's a funny thing to do, actually. I really don't understand who thinks that this kind of a game, that you are glorifying the act of colonialism, supposed to be a game. Like, can we make a game to, I don't know.
Yeah, I understand you, bro. I understand. Now look at this one. This is what you were saying. You get this one.
Yeah, the one that they are university students. That is the University of Helsinki students.
No.
Who were acting that game in real life. Like they were dressed up. They dress up like explorers. Some of them have some fake guns or what they have in their hands. They are going to get those, you know, the diamonds. And that is that's the actual picture from the event that the university students performed that act. That game. Okay. Yeah. So they try to act the game in real life, you know, like they are these European explorers who go to Africa to steal those diamonds. That was what they tried to do.
Oh my God. All right. So, but you see the image of a snake on it.
Yeah, they show Africa like there's this jungle with wild animals, snakes, and other stuff, you know. So that's the thing we're talking about here.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So and the aim is that you, the explorer, should not be killed by the snake or wild animals or by the savages, the Africans who are in Africa. That's the point. So you steal the gold from the sub-Saharan Africa, and then you go to store your gold in the northern part of Africa, in North Africa. So
I think this is also like the story of Ali Baba and the 40 Thieves.
Yes. It looks like that also. That's true.
This is horrible. This is insanity, really.
It is. It is. Yeah. No, you have here in Finland even times where like people who are of our age, when they were in school, doing the school, they taught them that in alphabet A, B, C to Z. Letter N was the word for nigger for black people. It was in their school taught. People learn this in school, not like it's a joke. It's real. Yeah. So this is the kind of, and even till today they have some games that are even still very much like this. This N word is there and those stuff. You know, not too long ago in Finland here there was a company producing chocolate. And they have one of their chocolate, they call it also the nigger's kiss. And they put there this same caricature looking image of African people, two man and a woman kissing. They make there like that. But we had campaigns and stuff for many years, and until the company have to rebrand the thing and take out the name.
Yeah. It's even contradictory how it has been played or demonstrated. You know, probably maybe from their children will see, because if you look at the name African Stars, and then you look at the content of the game, what is this?
That's a contradictory part of the game, because some people think, oh, this is a good game that it shows Africa in a good way, like African Star, because they portray Africa like this exotic place, you know, this exotic Africa, you know. So we are like, yeah, but Africa is a star, really. But that star is not meant for you to go and loot or steal or, you know, to take anything from. You know, that's the point. So they're like, oh, this African star, you know, but then what the game is actually doing is not portraying Africa as a star. It's portraying Africa as a place where they can go and get this star is that big diamond, the biggest diamond in the game. That's what we
Yes.
are looking for. Yeah. So
That's
technically,
true.
this game, the idea and the concept of the game is based on the colonial concept of going to Africa and loot minerals, you know, and that is the content or the concept of this game, and that
No,
in
but
any way is not okay.
I'm very sorry. I don't think it's the colonial concept. It is teaching even their own children to go continue to loot and steal.
Exactly, exactly. You're
It's
right.
not
It's not even the colonial. It continues. It continues the narrative today that you can still go there and loot. This is the place to go and loot. Oh, go to find golds and diamond there. And this is why we are saying it's also problematic, because we are still talking about the same problem in Africa today, where diamonds and golds are being, you know, the blood diamond, you know, the Congo is being exploited, and then you are making games in the university to joke about these things. Is very, very inhumane.
Another point that I want to pick up here. We have enough time. Please don't be in a hurry. I see people are hurrying. They want to call in. Yes, you can call in even as we're talking. Remember, we're not doing any, I don't know what, we're holding a family conversation, right? So you can go get some water, put your fufu water on the pot. You know, you can run, pick something. We are here in a family. Don't hurry. It's not a 5 minutes and then we play a sport and then we come. No. We are in a family and we are conversing and we are sharing our beautiful stories and laughing at all those who think that we're so dumb and stupid that they can put African stars and show you something else, right? It's funny. It's really crazy. But you said something, and it's very, very important. The thing that you said is you said the person or somebody saying they are not going to apologize for anything. For me, that is the kind of abuse. That is the too much ignorance and too much abuse that I see in the process. Because if it is ignorant, and if you really were doing it with no intentions, nothing, just a game to play that you get fun on it, you make fun on people and cultures and their looks and everything, and describe them as scavengers and natives and primitives, and you make fun about it. Now, the other person that you're doing it says, I don't think this is funny, right? I don't
Yeah.
really think this is a joke. And you said, no, for me, it's a joke and I have to keep it anyway. And we will even buy more of it and even make more of the joke on it. What kind of an attitude is this when we talk about humanity and feeling empathy for one another?
I think in two words, I'll say this is white supremacy. You know, when it comes to anything that is about anybody who is not white, who doesn't align, who doesn't fit in the hierarchy of white people, there is no humanity for them, or the humanity is less. So they have no apology for you. They don't value your humanity, and they don't see you as an equal. You know, so but this is something that we have to address as a community, as a people, that we must restore also the humanity of Africans. That humanity was broken. Let us go back in time.
Thank you.
The Africans were brought to Europe in chains like animals. Our humanity was destroyed, was broken.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it is going to take a lot of work for us to make this the entire world, not only Europeans, but because when we're talking about this slavery and colonialism, we have to also point out, like Professor Lumumba said, that the Arabs were the first to enslave Africans. You know, so our humanity has been taken away. Our humanity have been destroyed because of slavery and colonialism, and that's why these people see us today as not as important as their own, like we have this Black Lives Matter campaign. This is the thing to say, like, hey, our lives also mean something. We're also humans, you know. So, but this kind of display of ignorance, this kind of display of I would say disdain to African people is still very, very shocking. And I think that this marketing director who said very quickly that they were not going to apologize for any stuff, with due time, you know, history is going to tell how this is going to end, because I think that we are going to find ways to make sure that this company also can see that what they are doing and their product is very harmful for society. And things like, because we have ways that we can challenge some of these kind of companies under international law in courts and places, so we can make them understand that that is not right. And an apology, who needs the apology? Let us come again to this point of apology. I don't need anybody to apologize to me. Africans don't need anybody to apologize to them. We want justice. We want to do things right. So your apology is nothing, because many of these colonial countries are saying that, oh, we are apologizing, we apologize. Your apologies doesn't help anybody in Africa. You apologize when you continue to still loot and still continue to perpetuate evil in Africa. It doesn't help anyone, So we don't need any European apology in the first place. We just need you to do the right thing. We just want to get justice for our people. We want equity in these things.
Thank you very much. I think I can guarantee you that we'll be having this conversation again, and I will show you a caricature of this image in another format.
Yeah.
We're going to get our artists to work on the continent to redesign this very image, and then you can share it over your network and to school children there in Finland if they're interested, right? We are going to produce the same game and play it and sell it to them. And
yeah, that's something that
we'll change the character. I can guarantee you, just give us, before we get to pack, you're going to see this very game, right?
That is what I was thinking, that we can already design a different version of this game. And then when we present to them that, look, this is actually something you can sell. And I think they might take it, because we have to, because if you are presenting a problem, you must be able to show a solution as well at the same time. So that would be something very good if we can redesign this game. It's a very simple game to make and to redesign it, because the game is just like Monopoly. You go around and collect stuff and find treasure. So, but first of all, that concept to go around and collect treasures in Africa, it is completely not a game. It shouldn't be a game in any way, So we can, I think it would be good to redesign this game and present to them a new version.
You're right. It can be a game, but from the point of the African actually holding these thieves and tying them, and putting them. And another thing that you said, there's a lot of diplomatic way to do. Ghana, don't sell your cocoa to Finland anymore for the past 6 months until they redress the issue of this game. Could be another thing. I'm reading comments that people are actually commenting and throwing out here and said, what if, they don't? But an apology, to be honest with you, brother, like my sister Cheryl is saying, yes, why not? At some point in time, we come to a phase, if somebody already said, I cannot apologize, that's so criminal enough to say, I am an unrepentant, right?
Unrepentant is a word. Yeah.
I don't want to think my action. It is right what I think it's right, and you have to say it that way. So it's this kind of a narcissistic syndrome, right? And that is contaminating in all these kind of characters that think I am always right, and every other thing you are the problem, right? Anyway, I think I'll be opening up the lines so you can also catch a break. But there are these stories, like I was telling you, while we're waiting for the callers to call in, give their idea, and share this conversation with us in this family. You need to call +49 1578 211 2379. That's the studio number, and you need to call only using WhatsApp. If you have a question, you have a contribution, you have a support, you have to add your voice to this conversation, you have a recommendation. We've been throwing out possibilities out here. Like I said, all of you creators, innovators, big brains and talents that are sleeping on the street in Africa, go ahead and remodify this game. We're going to buy samples, send it to you over, redesign the game, and we put it in the market, and they will buy it 3 times the price. Yes. I'm picking up this call. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Hello. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. I'm actually from Namibia.
Yes.
And I was born in the city was taken by Germans, which is called Elongo Legion, which is war fish by. And then because then I was raised in Ondangwa, Ovamboland.
Mm-hmm.
we have to, what we're gonna study here, I have not so much information, okay? But I'm older enough to know because I am 30. So here is this, the game is this, that Finland is the most powerful colonialism European country when it comes to the paper and pen.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless that they also did not trust other Europeans, that other Europeans, they would be there and provide for them the food at the table. They have also to be diplomatic,
Mm-hmm.
to play their game on their side, that we are Finland, we have our country, and this other European. So they are so far that their country is so, it is cold, and regardless they share neighbor with Russia, or we would say that some part of Finland is like Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So now when they arrived in Ovamboland, 1800 or 18th to 86, they have been sending the Finnish people there,
Mm-hmm.
and you know that they are playing two parts, as European and as Finland.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so when they went to Ovamboland, they have to study the human mind, they have to study the language, they have to study the people. But the people, they were so strong and stubborn and they did not believe anybody, no matter how they were giving gifts, no matter how they promised, they will give them education, they will help them to have clothes. The Bamboland people did not believe, but they come to fall in human kindness or love with Finnish people, that Finnish people, they are honest to their point. But when you have a child who is honest, but she has parents behind her, so they develop the relationship with Ovamboland, which is North Namibia, and Central Namibia is like Namaland and Heleloland. So they develop that. But when they begin to study that case, there was Nakambale. Nakambale, it's Martin Lautanen, was named, when he came there, he was named by Ondonga King of Northern part, the Ovambo Kingdom. They named him as Nakambale, and he's a team from Finland.
Mm-hmm.
So now the thing is that here, so they are studying and they don't have, so because of that, they have no picture where to go. Their job, so they have to allow the Europeans, the Germans, to come. But there was one man, German comes there like 1884, and this man his name is in German Shisi or whatever. He came there, he stayed there with him like a year, and he was educating these Finnish people to know how to deceive others and to be dishonest and disobedient.
Always Germans.
Yes, and then these German people, they were kicked out from Ovamboland. And then the Finnish people, when he write the information, those German people, they have taken those information and they have to ask these Finnish people. The same thing, the Finnish people, they were sick there in Ovamboland. And sometimes the traditional treatment, they have to go to South Africa for getting treatment. And you know that in South Africa, there are white people there. They were threat to support Europe and to support Germany.
Mm.
So, and now when he started, there are books, the books for the Finnish, it's written Finnish Evangelical Lutheran Church. Here they write that when he was asked by German colonial power, he told them that if you go to the Ovamboland, you can bring so much. You can bring so much the theology and Helsinki University, and the rest of it they go to Germany. So now these Germans, they were asking Finnish people, how do we go there as Germany too? Because we have to fight to take the land of Ovamboland, and how do we go there? What kind of these people, these Finnish people, they told them that no, you cannot go there. These people, they are very strong and powerful. You cannot go there. They even, like Ukwambi armies, they were training that they heard that Germany is going to Ovamboland to take the land, as he did it to over Heleloland and Namaland. They were ready that they will kill one of all of them and they will perish. So they could not go. So when they have been going there to visit Finnish people as European, they were kicked out. And the time they started to build their own offices, they were burnt out. So now they write that in the letter and they say it. Now Ovamboland is part of Finland by paper. All the information they need, they go through Finland. And the one thing I would tell you, also English people, they go to study the people. They went to study in Heleloland and Namaland. So when they study from South Africa through the wall fish by the city, they told Germans that now they can go there and fight because they defeated the Namaland and Heleloland. How did they defeat them? They were in between and deceiving them, and now these people, they were fighting each other. And the Heleloland, they helped Germany to fight Nama. And when the Nama was all perished, now they used Heleloland weapon to defeat themselves. And this is how Germany won. It's like Germany coming to my house and use my husband to kill me. Later they kill my husband.
Typical.
Yes, all the power was taken in Africa. They did not come from Africa with their power. But in kindness, Germany, they did not be kind and they did not want to be with anybody, because these Finnish people, they also understood that once they go to Ovamboland, they take the whole land, and Finland will not have friends. They will not have friends. Yeah, that is how the game play.
Oh, thank you so much, my sister. I mean, thank you for calling in and explaining and telling us this story. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay.
And one thing I want to say here in Finland, when you go to the hospital, the nurses and doctors, they don't want really to listen to you. At the end of the day, they write what you have not. So you have to be a little bit strong and positive yourself and try to tell them, no, this is not me. But even me, sometimes I go to the hospital, they tell me, take Panadol 3 times. I said, it's not Panadol going to kill me. They laugh. They say, no.
Don't take it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
That was a very, very interesting caller, and the story is very important because Finland and Namibia have a very long history, and I have always been wondering, why is that so? And she just explained it to me now. I just get educated more today about the Finland and Namibia relation. You know, what went down.
I am loving this because, you know, that art, the way he puts the story, so it's well our story. Then the truth of the story, we feel it, we connect to it. The key point that she said here is the same strategy Westerners, Europeans use everywhere. They have never been strong, never, but they get their strength from us. Like she said it in a very clean way. You come to my house, you use my husband to kill me, and then you kill my husband. Clean. And isn't that a strategy that they've used for us? put us against one another. And
yeah.
then we fight each another, and then they go and get. What do you think?
Definitely, that is true. That is their strategy from day one, to come and divide us, to fight, among ourselves, and then they come in and destroy the remnant of what is left. And let us also point out also that when the colonizers or the Europeans came to Africa, they never worked or cooperated with the intelligent Africans or the strong ones. They went to the weak ones, corrupted them, and then create this disorganized society, and then this fighting. And that's why we end up today in many parts in Africa, that there are people who become royals that they will never be. The colonial people install them, empower them to become something. So they always have this strategy to work with the weak ones, to use the weak links, and then use them as a weapon against the entire African population, and then later on come to destroy the remnant of what is left. So this strategy is well known, and that's why we, like you said, we are united, we are together, but we must understand the nature of the beast we are fighting. When you know your opponent, when you know what they are up to, then you can challenge them in a more better way. And this is one of their old long-time ancient strategy to come into Africa. They were never strong enough to defeat us in Africa. Never, never. Mm-hmm. I also listened to one video from Professor Smalls, who was talking about why did African empires fail. And one of the points he mentioned was that we are very, very humanistic. We regard human life, but you have an enemy who came to fight us who didn't care about human life. They came to kill, slaughter, and destroy. So that's why they brutally killed people in Africa, but we were not so excited in killing them in the same way, the same magnitude that they were willing to crush and kill. So our ancestors did not really fully understand the nature of what was before them, these people who came to fight in Africa, to colonize them. But we today know. We know their strategies, we know their plan, and we know what they can do. These people can go as far as wiping the entire continent out. That is not anything that is off the table. If they have to do it to save their own race, they will do it. And we know that, and this is the thing we must be willing to, to have this conversation and be able to challenge these things the way they come, because they are never strong enough to defeat us. They always use us as a weapon against us. Then they can have access to break down our structures and society.
Another thing that he said, and I would like us to talk about it or to expand on it, like you're saying, it's very, very important when she said, come on, how do I get a blackout just saying this? When she mentioned the fact that they came and they started.
Yeah.
When the Finns went to Namibia, they studied, but they could not get the access to the people, from what she is saying about the story, the reality, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
The Africans were so strong, they could not defeat them. Now, they called the Germans for help. And German came and put this particular strategy, put the tribes against each other, and defeat them. And then chase even the Finns out,
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really that kind of a game. Like you say, it sounds a game, but it's a strategy. Now, the question is, they came, like she said, they study your language. They study your weakness so well. So they are not dealing with weak Africans in terms of power, but the weaker, the ones that are generous. So one thing that Africa has to be learning, how generous are we that we're so open? So
exactly,
this hospitality, when we are branding Africa, it's a country of hospitality. Others don't brand their countries like that. They have beautiful landscape, developed countries. No, they will never tell you it's a country of hospitality, right? So this is a change of a narrative. If we come in the diaspora, do we learn their ways? Do we teach our people their ways? Because it's a strategy, they learn our ways. What do you think?
I think this is something we should be doing, and we are not doing enough. And I think with platforms like yours and many others, we should be able to teach our people their way. We need to teach them who these people really are, So our people need to understand, because take, for example, this false narrative that people just have in Africa that because somebody traveled to Europe, they are rich or better than them, which is false. There are many Africans who live in Europe who are poorer than those who are back home, you know, but it's just this brainwash that people think that, oh, it's better here than there, you know. So, and these people also have to understand that they are very prepared. Like I said, from the very beginning, these people have launched a war against us. We are just now realizing. So they are prepared, and that's why they are making sure that we don't learn their strategy, we don't learn their techniques, we don't see their stuff. To be honest, these people are not happy. They are afraid that we're in the diaspora because they know that we can see their true nature, we can see their policies, we can see their strategy, we can see their methods, and that we are taking back home. That's why I'm saying that the diaspora have a very key role to play in order for Africa to win this war, because we are going to expose and teach the ways of these people to our people back home. And not only by teaching that, those of us who came to the diaspora, if I go back to my country someday and I get into civil societies, community service, and I get to sit in an office someday to make deals with Europeans, I know who they are. You understand what I mean? And I can teach the community, hey, these people are not just coming here like angels to save anyone. They are here to save themselves, you know. So, and part of the problem we have in Africa today is this old generations of leaders who still look at Europeans as the white saviors to save us. But we now, the youth, this generation, we know that these people are not there to save anyone. They are there to benefit their own people, and they will always put their people first, no matter what, you know. So this change, this education, this knowledge, we need to take that from Europe back to Africa so our people can know these people who they are. And that is very important part of the process to win this war.
Thank you very much. And that's why I'm saying the organization that we're launching as an umbrella organization to rally all this initiative is focused on cultural education. When I mean cultural education, yes, what we're saying about teaching their way is just a part. It's just a mini part. It's just a mini part, which is called cross-cultural trainings, you know, and exchange. And there are going to be a lot of programs coming up on it. You know, when we say we are creating these platforms, we have to give the tools for people to connect and to relate. Yeah. We know strategically that we are talking about the brain drain theory of the diaspora coming, brain drain from the continent. Yes. And which is a brain gain for the European in terms of labor, in terms of employment or whatever thing. But the fundamental thing that we're not thinking about is the limitations to get, whether they call them migrants or refugees or whatever, is a system of changing the mind. Because the more we hear, the more we know the reality, isn't it?
Yeah,
we know
exactly.
All right. But I want to get to the point where we keep missing all the time. I think it's just my thinking. I'm so sorry, and I do apologize. It's only my thinking to anyone that's listening. What I'm saying is, we think most of the time, and that's the narrative, or again, that we keep making that mistake. Or they are thinking, or they think that we're coming to do this, or they are afraid. It's a thinking. How do we manifest this thinking into an action? What am I saying? No European has come to your classrooms and say, don't teach your people our ways. We have all sort of organizations, particularly in Germany here, they have remodeled all kind of African proverbs, games, even giving African names to their children, you know, learning our spirituality. They book courses, they attend all kind of courses. We, the Africans sitting on all these things, don't even have a clue. So my problem is sometimes we just need to start doing it, teach it. And that's what we're talking about, cultural education. And one of these programs is going to be this cross-cultural. What does it mean? We're talking about Pan-Africanism, but what does it mean Europeanism or Europeanism or whatever they call it? And that's going to be a whole a curriculum to teach the African. What does it mean that? And what does it mean? Our own focus is Pan-Africanism. It's a spirit. It's our way of life, right? When we say our culture and we talk about our dance, our music, what is that? It has to get something. And all that cultural dances, cultural, this is a spirit. So we are not an image of a people. We are spirit. And the spirits connect through our dance, through our food, through our belief system, through the way we worship, through the way we go back. And this brings me to a point on a very important program that we're having tomorrow with King Maponga and Dr. Louise Leicester from Jamaica. We talked about here, you who were watching, we are starting what is called the African Temple, our church service program, every Sundays, 11 a.m. and Caribbean time, 4 p.m. I think America 2 p.m. at 2 a.m. or something like that. We're still gonna check. Just arrange yourself 11 a.m. South Africa, and then you adjust your times. Why? Because the trick has always been in everything that we've done. And the topic of this sermon is going to be, if my people, like in the Bible, will listen to my voice, they that are called by my name and pray to me, I will heal their land. So we're saying it's time for us to heal by going back to our God, going back to the creator. Because when they came and they removed us, and what is that God? You look at our traditions, it's nature, it's the way we connect to one another, it's the way we do our things. That is the way we need to go back. That is listening to the voice. How do you understand it? I don't understand it like go to a God that I pray to and that he will heal my land. No, I just go back to the way I was brought in a natural form, and automatically my land will be healed. So I'm inviting all of you to join. The flyers are already out. On this sermon, we're starting it and we'll be hosting it every Sunday. How does an African understand the Bible and the scriptures in an African context? Okay, so you'll be sharing it also with your community in Finland for us to connect every Sunday. It's going to be the biggest mega spirituality awakeness of the African ever in history. So I wish all of you would be there. So the lines are open. Thanks for the caller. If you want to call and ask a question to our brother. If not, we continue with the conversation. So over to you.
Yes, I think that, yeah, we need this education. Like, I think that one of our unfortunately late, J.J. Rollins put it very clear that, you know, you can Christianize me, but you don't try to Westernize me. You know, I think that this education of Westernization of Africans is something that we need to really educate our people to understand, because we see this in every aspect of our life, how we look, our hair, you know, what we consider to be beautiful, what we consider to be good. People are being Westernized to the extent that they hate themselves. You know, we talk about the self-love, the lack of self-love within Africans. Like we don't like ourselves. We don't like anything in Africa. We prefer to buy the European-made car or European-made Okada or the European-made rice than the local-made rice from your farmers, you know, from your country. So that is that Westernization of our people is something that really is a very important education we need to give our people. So this brand of the West that we have been brainwashed to worship, and that also have changed many Africans today. And this is part of the problem that we need to solve as well, to get our people to understand that consuming Africa, made in Africa, being African is the way forward and the solution to our problem, to restore our economies, to restore our society, and to restore our way of life by cherishing, loving, and going back to who we are, like you said, doing the things that we are supposed to be doing as Africans,
Okay.
not
All right.
adopting a new culture.
All right. Let me pick up this call from a very, very strong Pan-African founder, Pan-African Daily TV founder. Kofi, you are on the line. Hello. It's been a while, brother.
Hello, my dear sister.
Hello. My God. You thought about us today.
I miss you a lot.
You miss me. We have missed you. We have missed you, but we've seen your great work, Papa Kofi. Yes, go ahead.
That is it. I really want to participate in this show because what is talking when you guys are talking about is another issue which I'll always get passion on it. Why? Because our ancestors keep our culture.
Yes.
When I say our culture, our language, they manage it. no matter how they scatter them, they manage our language. The way they make them agriculture, all those stuff, they manage it actually. And see how the way strong we are. As today, my generation, see how the way strong we are. Now we need fertilizers, all those shit which makes the white people taking each and every day. See how the way the big hospitals they are. How the way they get this big hospital. And every day you see them full up in hospital. And now we will fight to get the same rubbish to go to Africa and show our people for them to use the chemicals to plant food and all those stuff. At the same time, we forget to, manage our language or teach our language, our cultures for those the youth coming, for them to, know what is called our own. You know, what is called our own. So it's like now our generation now want to destroy what our forefathers did to us.
Mm-hmm.
Is it what I want to have this better?
Mm-hmm.
Then whether you can able to explain a little bit what is talking about. You know, I want to know the reason why our leaders now doesn't want except other fully and a few of them try to teach those our generation now to know that our own is better. We got to use our own. It's an exception. My president, which is Akufo-Addo, that the most stupid government which we have ever have in Africa, Ghana, today. So I want to then get this brother to polish it a little bit so that the listeners can understand.
Okay.
The importance of our language. What is our own? The importance on that.
Okay.
So I will let you share so that you can continue for this one.
Thank you very much, Papa Kofi. Thank you for your call. Yes. The importance of language and the role it plays in our culture. Over to you.
Very, 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 very important. Because one of the strategies to divide our people and to break us down during the colonial times was the introduction and destruction of colonial languages in Africa. It now makes us, we cannot communicate, we cannot talk. Somebody from Kenya is speaking Swahili, somebody from Cameroon is speaking French, another one from this part. So all those colonial languages, we must restore back our own original languages. This is very important so we can communicate and we can understand ourselves, because language is very important to build any society. And language also go as far as, cultural identity, image of who someone is, so I think it's a very important point that we need to restore back our own languages that we can use in Africa, and we shouldn't rely on these colonial languages. Unlike, for example, the example that Rwanda has done, to take out French out of their official languages and put their Swahili, so I think that many African countries to also follow suit, make sure that they put African languages in their official languages, not just to depend on these colonial languages like the French, France Afrique. Those countries use just French in every stuff. And those things, French is not our language. English is not our language. These languages are languages from the colonial countries. And we must learn to restore back the pride and dignity that African languages, hold. So we can really fully see ourselves for who we are, not like, trying to talk and to do things in a language that is never and was never our language.
Mm-hmm. Absolute.
Yeah, and also it is very, very, I just want to add, sorry, that it is very important that us Africans in the diaspora and those back home to understand that language also is not any test of skills or knowledge. You can be fluent in English, but it doesn't mean that you're intelligent. It's just language. It's not any skill. So if anybody is speaking, I saw one Nigerian comedian was talking about this language stuff. Is anybody speaking broken English? What kind of English or what? You shouldn't try to judge them based on their language, because you see politicians these days in Africa, they want to be the one who speak the most, high English. That is like, it's the status if you speak so well English. No, it is not a status if you speak English language high or French. That doesn't make you better than any other African, So you should be instead proud to speak Swahili, Lingala, or you speak the Basa, Douala, or different Zulu. You speak those are languages we should be proud of, not like, oh, you have to see someone as very important because they speak good French or because they speak good English. That is very sad.
I think that's the most stupid thing that could happen to a human being, to be honest with you. I mean, when we look at, these are the kind of things that break my heart when we're talking to our brothers in, like in the Black American communities where they maybe never had that opportunity. They were splitted so that they could not manage, and so they have to speak English. But we look in the Caribbean, they speak a kind of a broken Creole, that looks like pidgin English. And I keep saying, maybe even before we go to the indigenous language, if we start only with pidgin. Look at
exactly.
BBC is already taking pidgin. They come and they take our young people and they begin to report the stories in pidgin. It's another kind of a crazy kind of brain drain out there. Brainwashing, taking your own people, exactly like you say, to report. And sometimes they will start using money. They take DVW, they take Swahili speakers to report the stories of their country from their own perspective in their dialect. So sometimes, even us just speaking that, I think the most important thing is the sellout among us. We that actually put the neck in this money and work for these agencies and thinking that we are helping. I think
that is true.
For me, that's the worst kind of sickness that we should try to cure. But just talking about you knowing a language, if my language is that, and I know that, okay, I have to be an interpreter, and I don't understand, I'm not conscious of why I should do it. The most important thing is the consciousness. That is why we're thinking, if you are conscious as an African, you're
African
conscious,
consciousness,
you have the knowledge of self, of who you are, where you come from, what your culture and your people are, your spirituality. Then you can read the Bible, you understand it differently. You will get another perspective of it. You will enjoy the scriptures if you are conscious. If you are not, don't touch it. It is the same thing that we're saying in other formats. Who are these people that are doing it? They don't even do it again like them. They do it using me and you. And because the first thing that has kept us is this money, issues of materialism. And this materialism is not that we're just using it for our benefit. Of course, money is not a bad thing. But the fact that we use it even, to marginalize others, to get position, to get authority, to get power, so that we can influence and marginalize the voiceless. That is the biggest crime against ourselves. And I think it starts with us really reconnecting back to our roots, going back to our spirituality, going back to the ways of God, but understanding, who is this God? Who is he? Who is she? It is nature. It is your ancestors. It's the powers that be that made you who you are in his image, not in another person's image. And so when he tells us to love one another, there's nothing wrong in you and African. What do you understand if you say, oh, the Bible is only wrong, and the Bible is saying love one another? Isn't that the same thing that we're saying? So we have a lot. We have a lot. It has to do with consciousness. Once we are conscious, our spirituality begin to rise. And believe me, I still go back to the words of my brother and that Ferdinand, who said, the more conscious you are, the more lonely you think you are. Because people begin to look at you and like, oh, she's a conspiracy theorist. Oh, she's just dreaming. Oh, there's this one, they don't have PhDs and titles. They don't even have a house. What does even Dr. Susan Tata do for a living? Just sitting there, just talking because they are lost. So exactly, that is that point when the people that are conscious come to war. And so you start feeling, the more you think like that, the more you feel you're lonely. No, I tell everyone, the more conscious you are, you leave the unconscious, you leave them behind, and you rise up in spirituality. So there are not many. Even the Bible says it. There are only few that are chosen and given the wisdom. It's not the majority. So don't worry. We have to go back, and we are on the right track, my brother. So we are rounding up. We're rounding up. I think this was very good. This was very good. This conversation. I hear people commenting in the chat. Let's just watch what they're saying, what they're doing. And yes, what do you say actually to our own African parents? The kind of books, the kind of movies, the kind of programs that they allow their children to watch. Do they really censor it? Do they really take time to watch what games I buy for my children, or it is just the one that is trending now because Ace Chai say I have to be in a competition to also show that I'm also a civilized, so my children have to have. That's also another problem. What will you say to that?
Yeah, I think that is a very serious problem because, first of all, people need to define what is civilized. And if you want to define that, you have to define who defines what is civilized.
Yes.
So if you have many people in Africa, parents who think that the word civilized or what is civilized has been defined by the colonizers, that is a problem because it goes back to the image they portray about Africa. They portray us as being uncivilized. By who? Under whose lens? Who?
Sorry. Wait,
Yeah.
I don't want. I'm not talking about our parents on the continent. That one is even another thing. I'm talking about the diaspora. We have come, we have seen the light, we have known the truth, but we're doing it.
Yeah. I think also you
Children
have
that are
those people
born
in
here.
you have those people in the diaspora. I would say that they have this westernized mentality, and they think that everything that is good, that is okay for them, are mostly things that are being approved by Western societies. So they struggle with, for example, teaching their own children their native language. They'll rather prefer their children not to speak their native language. Like, oh, why do you want to speak that native language anyway? They want them to be, you speak French in France, like you are more French person, or you speak Finnish, you are more Finnish. And they forget to see that also their kids have the African roots and the African heritage that they're supposed to uphold that, So these parents themselves, some of them, they suffer from this same brainwash that we are talking about, that
Yes.
they have been westernized to the point that they think that anything that carries the stamp of Europe, that is what is good. Some of them don't see any future for their children if their children are not fully kind of like assimilated, or I don't know, they indoctrinated to become Europeans, even with African or black skin. And that is very sad because unfortunately for them, many people succeed and strive in Europe by being who they are. They don't need to conform into becoming European because the Europeans see you as a lost cause. If you
Of
have been
course.
so brainwashed and conformed that you don't even represent yourself anymore,
Exactly.
And this is the thing. The Europeans, I can say for myself, people respect me because I am someone that when they see me, they know this is an African. Like, for example, there are many of us in Europe that people want to speak like Americans. They want to speak American English. They want to rap. They want to act like they want to distance themselves from Africa. No, 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 no. I am an African. I will speak with my African accent. I will not apologize to you because the English is not my language. First of all, if you want to speak in my language, we can go on that one. So people try to conform, they indoctrinate themselves, they pass that down to their children, and we just have a chain of people that is clearly a lost cause because at the end of the day, you can never and ever become somebody, you become somebody who that you are not. No matter how you try, the best you can be is to be yourself. If you try to become a French person, you try to become a German, or you try to become a Belgian, you are only deceiving yourself because you can never be like one of them. They will never accept you as one of them, no matter how hard you try. It will never happen. It is easy for you to be who you are, and you'll be respected and loved for that than to try to conform into something that the people themselves will see you as a lost cause.
So I love it. I love it so much. Why am I loving it is because let me just say, because the way I love the Bible these days, because I'm conscious, and you begin to see exactly where we went wrong. Even when the Bible is saying we turn away our back from our God, the question is which God?
Yeah.
And how do we turn our back? And it's true. It's 100% true that we turn away our back from our God. That's why we are suffering. It means what? We just refused being Africans. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah.
we are suffering. Because,
Yep.
like what you're saying, you can never act in another person's image. And so the fact that we are struggling to look like them, to
So
act like
hard.
them, to talk like them. So you turn away yourself from you, which is the God. And so you imagine that you would thrive. I gave them another wisdom. The creator gave them another thing and gave you another thing. And you're fitting, you try to want to fit to be that thing. And you wonder why we are suffering until we go back to the ways of God. That's what the Bible is saying. And now the question is, which ways and to which God? That should be the question. And now we know it because we're gaining that conscious. We turn away from all our traditions, from our connections, from our spirituality, from our food, from our health systems. I know a woman in my village, is not 5 years ago, who healed just from herbs. You know, a child that actually had a fracture in Europe, it would have been impossible. But because they're in the village, they don't have the facility, even the money to rush to the hospital and do a surgery and that. And they use only herbs. And they massage that leg. In 3 weeks, this child can walk again. So it's an example. If you don't see that woman, if God is a healer and you don't see her like a healer, then you're always going to dream about another kind of a healer. So when we turn away our back from God, it means we just turn away our back from us and want to be something else. And we wonder why we suffer. Join us live tomorrow, 11 a.m. on African Temple with King Maponga Joshua and a musical group, right, of our brother Lewis, the Jamaican biggest artist, and the songwriter and creator and composer of Jesus is a Winner Man all the time. And we've been dancing, and because he did not protect that thing with the copyright, the brother has been healing and touching lives in African churches worldwide. Even my children, they know it also when they were growing up, but we never knew that it is a creator that is one of you, the God that created that song. So we walk away from our God and we expect to be the chosen people of God until we go back to our ways that the Creator made us and gave us. We will not thrive to be what we are. So I want to thank you very much. It is very, very deep. It is very, very deep. Go back to your Bibles. And when you gain consciousness, you would understand the scriptures. And then we would go back to our ways of our God, our ancestors. And then we would strive and we would survive. Okay. So I want to thank all of you that joined. And I want to thank all of you that, shared your comments. And I really want to thank you to our brother. Thank you so much for spending this quality time here with us. I just want to give a rundown of the program, what we'll be getting. We're going to get beautiful faces on the Pan-African Daily TV and with really what I call top-notch topics. For instance, tomorrow we're already starting our African temple, going back to our roots, our ways of worshiping, which God we worship, who do we pray to, and stuff like that. This sermon is going to be 1 hour, maybe plus because of the musical entertainment. Yes, so join in tomorrow. On Monday, even though I already communicated that we were not going to be live, I just heard Naisha said, no, we have work to do in the launching that is coming up. We have to be live on Monday. So we are going to watch that and pick it up from there. On Tuesday, we have a very important guest who is going to educate us about Yoruba today. He's a professor, Professor Akintoye, very renowned historian, a writer, and an academic. Also has been in politics. He knows all about, of this class of Professor James Small and all these scholars out there. They are all colleagues or friends together, right? And so he is coming live connecting on the continent to educate us about what we see happening in Nigeria between this, but also to, talk about the whole general history, from the perspective of the African, like we always been doing. He's an elder, right? When I say an elder, it's a colleague of Professor James Small. And yes, this uncle is going to give us a clear perspective on the cultures and why we should go back to cultural education. It is our foundation. On Wednesday, we're going to be having a young team of our girls here on the Pan-African Daily TV. We're talking about the Nesha, the Nongo Solo, the Grace Akon, the Aisha. We've had all of them here. But they want to share a perspective on this president-elect in the Caribbean, because we are preparing to have an exclusive show with Ambassador Comison on these elections and who actually this president is and the prime minister and the whole office out there. We also know that she has been in so many offices before, sitting on that position, even on CARICOM, which we listened to their summit. She had also been a director on that. I think she's even one of the founders, as we're reading a lot about her. So the Caribbeans are actually excited. Antigua, Barbuda is shouting out and they're raising their voice out to say, yes, at least, Queen Majesty Elizabeth is handing over to her, to one of us. I mean, that is a new paradigm. We have to look at life from this context. Then we are also going to have, but that conversation with him is going to be on the 30th of November, 30th of this month, what we're saying, because the inauguration ceremony is going to take place, from what I hear, on the 1st of November, which is also going to be the day where we're launching the homepage is opening, right? So yes, there's just so beautiful stories out there that we have to make too much noise about them, that we have to gossip a lot in our communities, with our children, telling them, oh, you know what, now the queen is not, has given authority, to another queen, and this is who she is, this is how she looks like. I mean, it is a win for us all, African people, and to every other one, and to every other humanity that has celebrated kingdoms and queens. This is that time. So, but we're also going to have the main opposition leader of Gambia. And you all know this is a season where the governments are changing on the continent. And this main opposition also is a diaspora that studied in Europe, particularly in Germany, speaks very perfect German. And I had him on the conversation, and we want to know what is it that he thinks he would do right, particularly as a diaspora. Why are we talking about that? Because there's been this westernization processing that we say the diaspora mostly bring Western ideas, to implant on the continent. If they are not Pan-African and Afrocentric enough, they're not even the best leaders for Africa. So we want to get a one-on-one conversation with this politician who knows, could be the future president of Gambia in the coming elections that they are running to. Yes. So who again? Did I forget somebody, Nyasha? I don't know. Did I forget any? Oh, yes. And then we're also going to get a professor out there on the continent in South Africa. He's called Professor Sads Cooper. Normally, he would have been on the conversation on the 29th, which is a Friday, but unfortunately, I would be in Hamburg, Germany, to moderate a conference on African migration and media. It's a conference organized by one of our brothers of Nigerian in Germany here, and I'll be hosting that conference. So it wasn't possible for me to get Dr. Sad. And that's why I keep calling on all of you, even you brothers sitting there. You can be a host on the Pan-African Daily TV. Any other person, our women are in the chat, Cheryl, all of you that are here, Brother Leo Wright, all of you can be a host, so that when we go up to do other things too, we have somebody here that is holding these conversations with our people. So please make sure you sign in. If you want to be a host, yes, we just need to give you the password. That's all. You have the studio, you have everything, and we continue the conversation. Yes, so Professor Saad is going to give us a clear understanding who is ancestor Steve Biko. We've been talking about Nkwame Nkrumah. We've talked about Patrice Emery. We've talked about even Marcus Garvey. We've talked about, you know, all of these legacies, Haile Selassie, Gaddafi, all these presidents. But probably we've never had to talk about, you know, we've never had to talk about Steve Biko. A lot of us are knowing these heroes and what they went through and the reforms they stood for and how they passed on, but we never had to get a clear education on who was Steve Biko, our ancestor. So this professor spent time on the Robben Islands. You know what it means. Any African knows that name. Robben Islands. And he was in the same prison cell with Steve Biko. So he has a lot of revelation, a lot to tell us who he was, what he stood for, what was his vision for Africa, and what is it that we can give. Like we say, we are in the series of the rite of passation to our next generation. So it's going to be another power, not just PowerPoint without power, PowerPoints and power in it. Yeah, so I mean, we'll be sharing those conversations out there, or the flyers, when who is coming up. And there's just a lot of lineup. I want to apologize if we still keep you on the waiting. Naisha is doing everything possible to put everyone on the conversation. We have a lot that have even given up on us. We are so sorry. But if we have hosts, then we can divide the hostings. Everybody can host. We can be 24 hours live, taking each guest in. So I want to see you sign up and say, I want to be a host. I am not a journalist. I have never read journalism. I've never even sat in a class where media. And that's why we are not journalists. We are storytellers. We are sharing conversation. So don't be afraid that, no, I'm not qualified to do this. Don't be afraid to speak your broken English here. We would understand you. Okay. So sign up and be a host on the Pan-African Daily. Even you, Brother Ufok, I can see you have that energy and the spirit to communicate. So please be a correspondent and you can host, choose your date, and then, yeah, you get your guest live on the show. Thank you so very much, everyone. I want to drink water in all the name of our ancestors and the God of our creation on all our behalves. That's what Naisha tell me to do. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
To say, I share this with you in one spirit. We are connected through our waters, our hills, our dance, our music, our food, our thoughts for one another. Make sure you share a positive talk with one another. One last thing, a feedback from Professor James Small. He is so grateful for all the birthday or the Earth Day celebrations. He's not a celebrant, you know him. He's an ancestor that is so, an elder, sorry, that is so straight on. But he loves those messages. He said he is healing so well. We saw the first image of the operation on the knee. We really was like, oh my God. But the pictures that he sent to us as a birthday present were so beautiful. Everything is healed. There's even just no sign, you know, but it's just like getting over it in a very good way. So that is the biggest good news that we have here today. Don't worry about the images on what they say. They came to steal our land. Just take this last word of thanks and gratitude from Professor James Small and share that positive vibes and spirit to all our people out there. I want to thank you so very much. One last word from you, our brother.
No, really, thank you very much for this opportunity to discuss these very important issues about Finland and our people and our continent, Africa. And you are doing a fantastic job, and our people need to open up, and this is the time for us to rebuild the Africa that we want. So everyone have a collective responsibility. It's a collective duty that we all have to do. And I will look up to like you talk about that, you might need some hosts. I will look into that and I will get in touch with you and we can see, because I think that we need to contribute in any way that we have. And I hope that we can also continue this conversation with what is going on in the diaspora, with the associations and our community, so we can try to have a common consensus with what is going on and try to push the cause for our people forward, even in the diaspora. So really, really thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm looking forward to doing other things with you and with this platform in the future.
Thank you so very much, brother. Of course, we do love you. And of course, you have your space here, just like every other youth out there that have the energy to contribute. Cheryl, I see you, my queen, and all of you, please make sure you sign in and to be a host. I also saw people asking how they can support. Please, if you see the number starting with IBN, it is the bank transfer code for international money transfer. So that's, you give that, it comes directly. You don't have to go through a 30% because you're charged in that way or something like that. It is really very important. I mean, we've had people that have created platforms and they tell, oh, go to Patreon, or go to this. No. We're not going to any other thing. We just do your monthly subscription. That's the best thing to do. Even if it's a €5, even if it's a $10, even if it's what, do a monthly subscription using that IBAN. We call it IBAN. The IBAN, IBAN, the code that you give anywhere, and the numbers follow, comes directly to the Africa We Want nonprofit organization coffers, with which we are using to create all these platforms to organize our young people. And remember our campaign, give me 1 million, I give you Africa. This is the point where we're getting to it. Give us 1 million youth, we give you Africa. So the war is the war for love, for peace, for unity. That's the war that we are fighting amongst ourselves. Who gives loves more than who? Those are going to be the PAC event, the African PAC, Pan-African Challenge events that we're starting. Who loves more than who? Who supports more than who? You know, who are the ones that go back? We're going to do, you know, host things, exhibitions of our animistic, call them animistic, or our traditional healers. Those are the kind of events that we're going to be doing. Okay, so yes, all of us are on track. And don't forget $1 One Africa with our elder Marvin in America. He's putting up that structure. I think, yes, I already forget. He's also going to be a face on the Pan-African these days when everything is set. So we are ready to go. I want to send you all into the weekend with love and peace and joy and happiness. War of love among us, right? And our weapons, you know, it's just to love us so jealously that nobody would ever separate us. That is the war. That is the battle that I'm sending you to fight, to catch your brother, catch your sister, catch your any one of you, and love them and support them, you know, and unite as much. That is our war. We don't have any war of any weapons, and our weapons is love. So join us live again tomorrow on our African temple. I wish to see thousands of years you come to get a rebirth. We're calling, like the church say, a deliverance. We would be doing deliverance messages to get you into the spirit of Pan-Africanism, one love for Africans worldwide, everywhere. So we see ourselves tomorrow. Good night. Bye-bye to all of you.
Bye-bye.
Make sure you sign in to your monthly contribution. We're still really going to do that again and teach you how to do it. A monthly subscription is the best thing that we have to start working on. Remember, we have to build a lot. Okay. Yes. All right. So we see ourselves tomorrow. Make sure you come really prepared. Okay. For the word, for the power, for the knowledge, for the deliverance, for the born again, being born again into Pan-Africanism. You have to rebaptizing into the word from a different perspective. You will love it. You will enjoy it. You will go back healthy, singing, rejoicing as we all going back home to our God, to our motherland, to our ways. Bye-bye. We see us tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
You are watching the Pan-African Daily TV with Dr. Susan Tata. The Africa we want. Unity, consciousness, our culture, our spirituality, our history. One Africa for Africans worldwide. Motherland's calling its diaspora home. Join my voice. Join my team. Join my campaign. Campaign 21 hashtag 1 million subscribers on the Pan-African Daily TV YouTube. Be a volunteer. Apply now. Be the new Africa.